Hello and welcome to Museum of the Highlands, the website to support you to play, learn and explore museum collections from across the region. Museums are amazing repositories of artefacts. We've brought together over 300 objects from museum collections across the Highlands, and we know that sharing these objects in education settings can greatly enhance the learning of young people. I'll be exploring some of the ways that you can use objects and activities from across the site to enhance learning in your setting. I'll be covering a range of topics, including what is object-based learning, our place-based approach and why it matters, how the Museum of the Highlands put the skills that young people need for the 21st century at the heart of what we did, our work to support young people to find their voices, develop oracy skills and confidence to express their opinions, activities that are designed to support pathways to employment, and finally, how the Museum of the Highlands can support you to decolonise your school's curriculum. Object-based learning is a very simple concept. It means that we use objects that people owned and held and made in the past to help us learn about the people of the past. We're effectively learning about them through their possessions and the things that mattered to them. But what's really lovely about object-based learning is that it's very tangible. We're literally holding and touching the past. We can feel the weight, we can think about what it must have felt like for those people to hold those objects, and we can think about what must have been going through their minds as they held them and as they used them. Museum objects can give us concrete examples to help us make sense of the past. What was it like being a coal miner? You can explore this question by exploring a coal miner's helmet that was used in the Brora mines. Why was this helmet so needed for a coal mining role? What was it like to be a commando during World War II? Discover a commando's uniform and decide for yourself what it must have felt like to put that uniform on and where you were going and what you were likely to face. If you're studying medicine through time, you'll find a whole array of medical objects on our website, used by Highlanders and objects that mattered to the lives of the Highlanders that we'll encounter, including a stretcher that saved lives, a jar of leeches, and even stethoscopes, chloroform, an anaesthetic mask and forceps. And who were the Picts? Follow the clues that they left behind on a range of Pictish stones across the Highlands. But the website isn't just for history teachers. You can also use the filter to search for a whole range of different subject areas and topics within different subjects. You can explore other topics as well, like what sort of people should we be valuing as society? Have a look at a range of different medals that were awarded to Highlanders for different achievements, including nurse Janet Adams, who served in the Red Cross in the aftermath of a hurricane. And what about science and technology? Well, there's a sundial, a wartime radio, a Morse code key, and an echo sounder that located objects under the sea. Whatever objects you explore with your class, we hope you'll have fun discovering them. A really important part of Museum of the Highlands is the fact that it's place-based. We planned for this from the start because we wanted it to be meaningful to you. We know that learning is much more likely to stick, we're much more likely to make connections and to understand what we're learning if we can already anchor it on something that we know. And we know that young people particularly enjoy learning about stories that are based around their location, that matter to them and where they can see the meaning. And so, as you explore Museum of the Highlands, we hope that you'll be able to access lots and lots of stories from your locality. Probably the easiest way to do this is to search under your local museum on the website. If you search by your museum, you'll be able to bring up all the objects that are from your own location. And from there, you'll be able to access stories about your unique heritage. There are lots of place-based stories for you to explore. This rock may look very ordinary, but it was actually formed 3 billion years ago. It's a mind-boggling length of time. It's actually from the geopark in the northwest Highlands, and it's one of the oldest rocks in the world, part of the collection at Gairloch Museum. In nearby Ullapool, you can also explore the story of the impact of the fishing industry and how Ullapool was connected to the rest of the world through its exports. There are lots of place-based stories. Others include the Glencoe Massacre, the role of tourism at the spa town of Strathpeffer, a world speed record attempt on Loch Ness, and the individual communities that were affected by the Highland clearances. We're sure that you'll find something on the site that happened near you. At Museum of the Highlands, we know that learning is not just about the museums imparting their knowledge and explaining their objects to young learners today. We want young people to be able to construct their own meaning, and that means that we'd like them to engage properly and at a deep level with some of the objects from our collections. One of the things that we've done is build the website around the skills that we think learners need for the 21st century. That includes critical thinking, curiosity, and empathy. A lovely activity for sparking curiosity is called What's That Noise? You can access it through the Play and Learn section of the website. You can listen to the sounds made by a range of objects from the Highland collections, and you can use your powers of deduction to work out what you think the object might be. We think these activities will make lovely starter activities for lessons, and they're great for getting us to engage with the same sounds that our ancestors heard. You could use that sound to bring to life the story of the quarry workers, but you could also talk about why they needed tackety boots, and you could use it as a way to introduce the topic of health and safety, not just in the past, but today as well. We've found that these noises are really engaging, particularly for young children who really enjoyed listening to the sounds and using their curiosity. But we also think they could be used with learners across a range of ages. Another object that we recorded the sound of was a pair of handcuffs from Cromarty Courthouse. What an eerie object for bringing the history of crime and punishment to life, and for thinking about the people who wore those handcuffs and who heard those sounds in the past. There are lots of other ways for young learners to have fun as they explore and are curious across the website. We've developed a set of interactive quizzes called Could You Survive to really bring the past to life. Young people can discover if they could have survived on a family croft, in the First World War at the home front, or in a range of other scenarios from Highland history. We think that these activities also develop empathy, helping to allow young people to understand what life must have been like a little bit more. By making choices when they select their answer to the quiz questions, they're having to move closer to the experiences of the people of the past, and they're having to relate their own experiences and lives to the people who came before them. We wanted Museum of the Highlands to support young people to talk and to share their own views and to develop their thinking. We created lots of activities for young people to explore objects that acted as concrete ways of thinking about sometimes abstract concepts. It can be very difficult to debate and to form opinions without concrete items to hang our debates and discussions on, and we think museum objects are great for introducing topics. We included these activities under a section of the website called The Big Question, and we talked to lots of young people across the Highlands to find out about the big questions that they wanted to ask and the issues that matter to them. We use this prehistoric barbed hunting tool as a way to discuss animal rights. Should animals have rights like humans? We use this handmade doll's toy house as a way to explore whether children today get too many new toys and whether there might be viable alternatives to buying new items, such as making your own. In fact, we asked young people about a range of topics that mattered to them and designed resources to explore. Is it time to say goodbye to fast fashion? Is it time we banned plastic food packaging? And should we be valuing the NHS more? As well as lots of other questions. You can find them all under The Big Question. It's not just the debating activities. Across the site as a whole, there are lots and lots of activities designed to get your young people in your class talking about objects and finding their voices. You can look at lots of examples of an activity called Object in Focus, where we've shown you different objects from a range of unusual angles designed to spark curiosity and prompt discussion about what the young learners might be seeing. Highland teachers told us that a priority area for them was supporting their young learners with pathways to employment and with careers education. We reached out to a range of experts from different professions to see if they could support us to support schools with this area. Our professionals helped us to create a set of video resources to explore museum objects from a careers perspective. We worked with a doctor, a judge, an archaeologist, a geologist, and a writer. And you can find out what they made of our objects in a section of the website called In Their Hands.
One of the things that you might have noticed about scenes from courtroom dramas is that the lawyers, especially if the drama is from Britain, will be wearing wigs as well as gowns. And you might think, why are they doing that? And as lawyers, we quite often question that ourselves. The answer is partly so that the lawyers can be distinguished from other people in the courtroom. That certainly applies in relation to the wearing of a gown. The wig's probably slightly different, and it's a relic of the past.
We asked young people from across the Highlands to send us their weird and wonderful questions for us to ask our professionals. Have you ever wondered what the strangest place a geologist has worked is? Or perhaps the worst thing about being a doctor? Or even how many hours a writer writes for each day? Well, you can find out the answers to those questions in the In Your Hands section of the website, along with accessing all the careers videos that we've made. We know that careers education is a real priority area for many schools at the moment, and we hope that hearing from experts discussing these museum objects will be inspirational but also aspiration raising as well. Across the site you'll find lots of other ways to explore careers and pathways to employment. This is because we've built the website around key themes, and one of the themes is called the world of work. If you select this theme from the filter, it will bring up activities around employment for any of the different activities on the website, and it will bring up objects and resources for you to explore. You'll be able to find out about the lives of real Highlanders and the careers that they led through some of our resources. One particular section of the website is called Stories of Life, and this has got lots and lots of examples of Highland careers for you to explore. Some of the careers that you can explore on the website include a salmon fly maker, a soldier, a doctor, a mountaineer, and an artist. You can use the interactive resources to ensure that your students are talking about the careers that they could have and are having to make active choices, thinking directly about the sorts of careers that might suit them and their own personality. Many Highland teachers are currently on their own journeys exploring themes of anti-racism, slavery and empire. These are not easy themes, and we're aware that many teachers are wrestling with how to explore these in the same ways that many museums and museum collections are doing too. We've taken the steps of including some objects within Museum of the Highlands that were actually looted, and we've tried to be clear and transparent about why we've done that and how you can explore those objects with your classes. Wherever possible, we've tried to be really clear and transparent about the origins of objects and about the different ways of seeing things, and the fact that some objects can mean different things to different people, like this bugle. It once belonged to drummer John Alcorn of the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders. Bugles had been used by the military for many, many years. They were for communication and they were to unite troops to act together. But this one was used to sound the advance for the Highland Brigade to charge at the Battle of Tel el-Kebir. During this conflict, British forces intervened in Egyptian affairs in what has now been interpreted as an attempt to secure British interest in the Suez Canal. When we shared this object, we chose to tell both sides of the story. So whilst to the British at the time, it was seen as a really important object and a symbol of victory, to the Egyptian people, it was obviously seen as a symbol of oppression. In fact, it's more likely to signify their loss of independence and the start of a 71-year period of colonisation. It was really important to us that we told both sides of this story and that we were clear that there are different ways of seeing things. Across the site, we've tried wherever possible to share underrepresented voices and to share the whole picture, but we've tried to do so in a way that allows young people to discuss the issues rather than being lectured and told what they should think about them. And so you'll be able to explore lots of activities on the site with a focus on reflection time and on young people having their own voices. In fact, one set of activities is actually called On Reflection, and those activities allow young people to spend time discussing and thinking through the issues, and if they want to, they can create a memorial or commemoration to remember the story and the people represented. Stories that feature in the On Reflection activities include the stories of looted communities and also the stories of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade. We don't always automatically associate the Highlands with the slave trade, but in recent years historians have been researching this story and finding the ways that the Highlands is more intricately connected with the story of slavery than we might have at first thought. On the site you can find a few activities that explore this more directly, including the story of James Fowler, who was a successful Highlander but also had slaves. Across the website you can select lots of objects and explore stories connected with this theme by selecting colonialism from the filter, which should bring up the objects that are relevant to your studies. We hope that you enjoy looking at our objects, we hope that you enjoy learning from our activities, and we hope that it enriches the learning experiences of your classes.